Okay, so and we also learned how do we make the fields as input fields on the standard list controller. So give me a quick moment. Let me just log in into the previous page. This is the page that we created last. All right. So I think this is the page that we created last, and we also learned how to make one of the columns as input field column, right? So that can be done. And for that, we have simply inserted the input field component inside the column component. See, if you see these three lines, you'll understand what we have exactly done. Okay, so this is a solution, but if you look into the output, from the end user perspective, does not look that attractive, right? All these fields are being displayed as input fields, and sometimes you might not want to do that because it's a list of records. It's not just one record. So, irrespective of whether the user edits something or not, but he gets to see this data uh, in this kind of an input field kind of component, which doesn't look very nice. So if you see the alignment and all these things are also not looking that proper here. So the way this part of the data is looking, this part is not looking that clean. All right. So what is the solution for that? So the solution would be, if I can display the data, whatever field I want to edit, if I can display it as a read-only data, so that it does not come with these input boxes. It looks normal like a read-only data, but I should be able to edit the data at the same time. I should have the option of double-click and edit the data. Right. To do that, we have to use another component which is called inline edit support component. That's what we're going to use. So I'll show you exactly what this inline edit support component is going to do. Let me use inline edit support in the other page. This is a page we designed. Okay. So let's say I want the inline edit support on this particular table. All that you have to do is you just have to use the component, inline edit support component here. Text inline edit support. That's it. So before you close the page block table, just put this component, Apex inline edit support, and save it. Okay. Now, when you see the data, it looks the same. There is no change in the way it looks. But if you want to update or change any data, you just need to go and double click on that. So this is what inline edit support has done. Okay, so now you have the option of going and clicking on any figure and you can edit that. See, you got it. So your inline edit support is gonna do this thing for you. All right. So it's gonna make the entire table editable, inline editable. Okay. If you try to do the same thing for expected revenue, it will not work. Try to double click on this, it doesn't work. What is the reason? The reason is pretty simple. The reason is that your expected revenue is a read-only field. Okay, so any read-only field will not have any effect. Okay, like a formula field kind of a thing. You cannot edit that field, right? So because it's a read-only field, you are not able to edit it. But other fields you can edit. Okay. Now let's see, how this inline edit support has been implemented here. You have a page block table. Understand it. You have a page block table. You have columns inside this, and inside the page block table, you have included inline edit support. Okay. Now, since the inline edit support is a part of the table, it has enabled inline edit support on the entire table for all the columns in the table, right? Since I have put it inside the table, directly inside the table, it has enabled the inline edit support for all the columns in the table. So basically, the entire table has been enabled by inline edit support. Okay, that's what we just did. Now, there can be a situation where you don't want this to be implemented on the entire table. I might want this inline edit only for amount and not for other fields. Currently, it is applicable on all the fields, right? But I might want it only for amount. Then what do you do? So for that, let me just go ahead and create another page. I'll just copy the same page. Okay. Now, if you wanted only for a particular field, inline edit support only for one particular field, then what you have to do, you just have to enable the inline edit support for that field. So let's say it is for amount, then you have to enable it for amount field particularly. So how do you do that? It's to make a few changes here. First of all, we'll have to start the column component as we did earlier. Then close the column component. Then start the output field. Close the output field. And put the inline edit support. Okay. So we have put a column component, we have put an output field component, and inside the output field component, we have put the inline edit support. Now this inline edit support is only going to work on this particular field. Now if you try to double click this one, it doesn't work. If you try to double click on stage, it doesn't work. If you double click on the date, it doesn't work. If you double click on your amount, it works because I have put inline edit support only inside that particular field. So that's how it is working. So sometimes if you have the requirement of putting inline edit support in a certain field, then this is the approach. If you want your inline edit support to be for the entire table, then the approach that we took earlier, just put it inside the page block table component. All right. What if you want inline edit support for a single record? Okay. So let me create another page. Now, let's say if I'm designing a page, a standard controller page for a single record, I need inline edit support in that. So I can use a detail component for displaying the details. And then there is inline edit attribute available. You have to just make it true. That's it. Okay. So now this is how our inline edit support has been enabled for the detail component. If you see now, if you go to any particular field, you will be able to update this, right? So for a single record also, if in case you are using the detail component, you can use inline edit along with the detail component, right? So that's how we can actually work with inline edit. Now, the next topic that we are going to talk about is passing parameters. Okay. Passing parameter in a Visualforce page means what? What does it mean? It basically means that okay. Let's say you have a page, okay, and on this page you have a list of records. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say these are a list. This is a list of records. These are the records that you have. Now, what you want that you should be able to go to a certain record and click on that record, and then when you click on a certain record, that record details are displayed here. You must have seen a lot of websites or web pages like this. There's a list available and you should be able to click on a certain record and see the details of that particular record, right? So this is called passing of parameter. Why it is called passing of parameter? Because basically what is happening in the backend, try and understand. When I click on a certain record, some parameter or some value is taken from this record and it is passed into this particular area. That's the reason why this area understands that, okay, fine, now I have to display this record. Okay. So let's say these records are called 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So when I click on one, some parameter has to pass from here to here so that this area can understand that okay, now I need to display details of one. If I click on 5, the parameter should pass from here to here so that it can understand that now I have to display the details of 5. If I click on 4, then it should understand that I have to display the um, results for 4. Got it? So that's how it is. So this is called passing of parameters. This is very simple stuff. Before we can actually work with the passing parameters, let me just create a page with a list of records. Okay, so first thing that we need is we need a list of records, and then we need one more section on the page where I am going to display the details. So let's go ahead and create the page. Standard controller account record set where, and then first of all let me do the layout part. You guys should also, while you're designing something for client or for the end users, you should first of all try and set up the layout. Do a page block, title, passing, pointers, text, page block section, page block, and page block. Let me remove the sidebar as well so that we have more space here on this page. Okay, so this is basically the layout that I've set. I'll display the list of accounts on the left hand side. If someone clicks on a certain account, they'll get to see the details of that account on the right hand side. Simple. Right. So first of all, inside this, under this list of account page block, let me just go ahead and define the list of accounts. So this is pretty simple. All that I need to do is I just need to use a page block table that we use. The name is going to be Apex. Okay. So in this list we got the sorry, on the left hand side we got the list of accounts. That part is there, right? Another thing that I need to do here is I need to be able to click on a certain record and then pass the parameter from left side to the right side, right? So what is the first requirement for that? First requirement is that I have to make this record clickable. I should have that option of clicking on this record. Right now I don't have an option. So to make it clickable, what is the best way? Convert it into a command link. I showed you last time also. So this name field, I'm going to convert it into a command link. So how do I do that? Start the column component, close the column component. Inside this, put fx command link value equals name. Okay, so we need an apex form tag also here. Apex form tag is here. Save it. Done. So we have the command links ready. We will just click on the record. Okay, it's not doing anything because I've not added any action. But we have converted the normal read-only data into the command links that we have done. Okay. Now what we need to do is when I click on the link, the parameter needs to be passed. Correct? When I click on the link, what do I want this link to do? I want this link to pick up a parameter from the selected record or on the clicked record, pass it to this side. That's what I wanted to do. So for that, all that you need to do is define parameters inside this command link. So we will close the command link and inside this we are going to define the parameter. So there is a component called apex param. Apex param component is used for defining a parameter. Okay, parameter is more like a variable which will take a value from the record. So my parameter should have a name. I should give it a name. We should give a value. Parameter name is like variable name. So let's say I call it account ID. So this is the name which I've given. You can give it any name. And what is going to be the value of that parameter? I want the ID of the record to be picked. Because ID is the unique identifier, I want the ID of the record to be picked as the parameter value. So value of the parameter is a.id. Name of the parameter is account ID. Alright. So this is what we have. So every time someone clicks on a record, the value of the account ID is passed to this parameter. Got it? That's what will happen. So when you click on the command link, this parameter will get the value of the selected record's ID. Okay. Now I have to call this parameter on the other section because I want to display the details of that record here. Right. On the other side, I'm going to use a detail component. In the detail component, we have an attribute called subject. Okay. If you define any records ID in the subject, you should be able to display the details of that particular record. Okay. So instead of specifying a particular ID, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to call this parameter account ID here. So every time this account ID gets updated, this side will also get updated. Page dot parameters dot okay. So this is the location where this parameter is going to get stored, current page dot parameters dot account ID. Okay, so I'm referring to this parameter. So on the right hand side, I'm calling this parameter, and in the table, I've defined this parameter. So every time you click on a record, ID of that record will be passed into this, and because that is being called here also, that's how it is going to work. Let's see if it works. Okay, absolutely. See, if I click on Dickinson, it shows me the details of Dickinson here. If I click on United Oil and Gas, I get to see the details of the United Oil and Gas here. Got it. If I say pyramid constructions, right, this is how it's working. Let's say I want, now I've been able to do this. Now, if I want, instead of this details written here, if I want the name of the account, the selected account name should appear here. So what is the best thing to do? The best thing is you can define one more parameter. Now you will want the name also there, right? So define one more parameter. You can define multiple parameters. Name of the parameter is can be account name, and value of the parameter is going to be a dot name. Okay. So what I've done, I've defined another variable which is going to take the value from the name of the record, and I'm going to call this, instead of details, I'm just going to call this current page dot parameters account. See, when you click on the record, name of the record displays at the top, details of the record displays here. Alright, let me know if anyone has any question or doubt here so far. So now the problem with this page is that when you click on a certain record, the entire page gets reloaded, and for that reason it takes a little bit of time to load this. However, if I look into the page, I actually don't need the entire page to get reloaded. Do I need that? I don't need the entire page to get reloaded, because like the header part is fixed, the left side list is also fixed. What is the point reloading the list also? Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's define the Ajax here. Okay, but here we are going to define Ajax in a different way. So when we did it for tab panel, there was a ready-made attribute available called switch type equals Ajax, but in this case we don't have that. Okay, so we are going to take a different approach for doing Ajax. So I'm just going to, okay, all that I'm going to do is, it's a very simple thing. I just need to go and define an ID for the page block. So what is the area that you want to update? You don't want to update that, you don't want to reload the entire thing. So what is the area that you want to re-render? The page block, right? This page block. So all that you have to do is you just have to go and say ID equals, give it any name, my block. Okay. So this ID is basically the unique name for this particular section. Now you have given it a unique name. Go to the command link, and in command link there is an attribute called re-render. Re-render, say my block. So this command link will re-render only my block. What is my block? My block is this section. This is how simple it is. So I've clearly defined and I've instructed the command link to re-render that. So we are trying to do this Ajax thing here, right? So all that you have to do is you just have to identify that which area you want to re-render. When you say I don't want the entire page to be rendered, so you should define what area you want to render. So I basically want to re-render this area. So I've just given an ID for this area, and on the command link, I just say re-render my block. That's it. So this command link, if you don't define anything here, then it's gonna re-render the entire page. But now since you have mentioned that you just want this section to be re-rendered, it's gonna re-render that section. Right. So let's see how it works. Now click on Dickinson. See, now it's a lot more faster. The full page is not getting reloaded. Fine. So the rendering is only happening for this part, not for the entire page. Got it? So this is another way of using Ajax. Right. So with the tab panel, it was easy. You had an attribute here because you do not have an attribute. So anytime you want a partial refresh on click of a button or a link, you should use the re-render attribute of the button or link. This is available in a button as well, right? So you should just define what area you want to re-render, and then you should say re-render that particular area, right? So that's how our re-render thing is gonna work. So let me know if anyone has any question or doubt here.